Hey, welcome back to
The Jokers.
the Jokesters, the Jokesters podcast. Liam and I, my name is Derek,
I'm Liam.
and we are today going to be discussing mental health and fashion.
Yeah.
So, how do we want to get the ball rolling with some stories here?
So I have two stories that we're gonna start off that were one of my friends named Ellie, whose friends committed suicide, and these are real stories that happened right before they decided to take their own life.
Wow, okay. This is heavy.
So the first one is about her friend Javen. Javen had took his life because he was getting bullied basically the day before me and him were working together with my partner Haley and his partner were making something for the three little pigs like houses to see if they will blow down with the hairdryer. Me and him and Haley were talking and having fun, and they were going to get back at each other.
Back together.
Back together, my bad. The next day, and then he had told us he loved us, and you'll see us tomorrow. That was the last time I ever had a conversation with him.
So, this is from your perspective?
This is from my friend's perspective.
Oh, okay. So, you weren't a part of this?
No.
Okay.
I asked her last night if she'd be willing to share the stories.
And are you allowed to share her name?
Yes. She gave me full consent.
What's her name?
L.
Okay. All right, and this is that right there tells like a happy story. It didn't sound nothing about that sounded like upsetting or it didn't sound like he was miserable during any of that. So she didn't suspect anything.
Yeah, he basically with me. I don't stay tomorrow ever because we don't really know if this person will be here the following day.
So she never sensed that there's something not right with him. He seems down.
Correctly, if this was him, he was in his room and he committed it.
Okay, that's sad. You want me to do the next one?
Yeah, it is a rather long one because she said there was a lot of stuff to him. And his name was Jalen's.
Okay, this is from Jalen's perspective?
No, this was Jalen's story, but this is how my friend witnessed it.
And who's your friend?
L.
This is also from L.
Yes, she gave me two. These were her two best
She
friends.
knew two people that committed suicide.
And they were her best friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she's lost two friends to suicide, and you say they're very close friends.
Yes.
What is the odds of that?
I don't know, but
That is really upsetting.
I'm excited to hear what this one right here talked about.
Okay, let's see. It's not touchscreen, right?
Yeah.
It is, or it isn't?
So we start with also.
Okay.
You may have to scroll down through them because it's a rather longer.
Yeah. All right. Also, a few days before me and him, it's interesting that it starts with also. Like, what are we missing here? Okay. Also, a few days before me and him, which would be him and I hate to be a grammar Nazi here, had gotten into an argument over bad text about me seeing cuts on his arm. He got mad and told me that I did it. What's the big deal? Oh no, he said that I did it, meaning he did it.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? And I told him that I cared and loved him, and then he wanted me to como?
Yeah.
What does that mean? He wanted me to como ever like I normally did?
I think she wrote this and having a hard time. I think
COMO, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Derek.
It's not a word.
I'm just gonna walk around a bit.
Alright, catch you later. Like I normally did, and then I told him that I couldn't because I was busy, and he told me he hated me and this other stuff. And then we got into it again, and he said that I was a fucking bitch, and this and that, and then said I hate you, and said I hate you, you don't and said, "I hate you, don't fucking talk to me again." And then I went to sleep and saw my messages not sending and his messages turning green. Then at 6 a.m., I get a call from his mom saying he's in the hospital in the ICU. I thought it was because of football. Then she told me he died because he stabbed himself. He had came home from football that day. It got canceled due to the rain, and had went up to his room. His mom asked him if everything was okay. He said, "Yep, fine." She was making his favorite food, chicken. Oh, this is sad. Chicken and French fries. She tried calling him to eat because his food was done. He didn't answer. She figured he was doing homework. Then she called him again and found him in his room with a suicide note and a knife in his stomach. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
So this is also true.
Wow, the story from my side. That's from Elle's perspective.
Yeah.
So Elle had gotten in a argument with this fellow,
His name's
Jalen, and that was the last time she had ever interacted with him before he took his own life. So she probably lives with guilt to some degree.
So basically, why her texts weren't going through, because I think they disabled the phone number because they were about to die, or like committed.
Does it explain why that they were fighting?
Yes, it says in the next part.
Why they were fighting though? Why they were arguing?
She did not. But if you go right here, it tells
I gotten into an argument over text about him seeing cuts on his arm.
Yeah.
He got mad at me, so he got defensive about that when she saw the cuts on his arm.
Yeah.
And he goes like, "What's the big deal? They're just cuts." And he wanted me to come over. That's what she's trying to say, not como ever.
Yeah.
She meant to say he wanted me to come over like I normally did, and I told him I couldn't because I was busy, and he told me that he hated me and this other stuff. So he lashed out because she wasn't able to come over. So he's obviously not in a healthy mental state. He's conflicted, and
this is why this week I wanted to talk about it, because Tuesday is actually Mental Health Awareness Day.
Oh, is it?
So I wanted to have this out before we did it today, before it came out.
Okay. And so she went to sleep, tried to message him. So she did nothing to provoke this argument. She was just trying to be a friend and say, "Hey, I noticed the cuts in your arm." He gets defensive.
Yeah.
He asks her if she can come over, and she couldn't. She was busy or whatever. So he lashed out about that. Yeah. So she did nothing to provoke this argument. This was on him. This argument sounds like it was on him, because he wasn't in a healthy state of mind. That's the impression I'm getting.
Because she tells more in the next part, because this is the part that got me.
All right. Jalen McClare was a 14-year-old who loved playing football and who loved hanging out at the parks. But on September 26th, his mother found him lying on the floor with a wound in his stomach. According to his mother, Jalen had stabbed himself multiple times in the stomach because he was being bullied because of his looks and how he dressed. Do you know how he dressed in his looks?
I don't know. I don't know him.
I wonder if he probably thought that he was ugly. He probably had body issues.
I don't know him personally, but there's a story. He sounded like he was not in the right state.
Alright, we'll get back to this because I suffer from body dysmorphia as well. So that's, let's put a bookmark right there for later. His mother told the police that he was an outgoing kid who loved sports, who looked after his friends, and who loved eating, and who helped his neighbors out. It's hard seeing your own kid like that when he came from school, and I asked him how his day was, and he said, "Fine." I knew something was up, so I was making dinner and had told him to come down for a plate, and he didn't come down.
Can I interrupt you on that?
Sure.
She also told me personally that he was on the high school football team.
Okay. All right, so he was on the football team. generally it's depicted in movies like the guys in the football teams are the cool ones.
Yeah.
You know, but it sounds like he was being bullied, so that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
That movies lie. And movies don't always depict what life is actually like, which is important to know. Okay. Here we go. Where was I? I was making dinner, told him to come down. He didn't come down. Thought he was doing homework. Now she's repeating what she had said in the first paragraph. So I waited a few minutes and then I called him again. He didn't answer. He normally does. So that's when I found him in his room. I seen blood near the body and I called 911. And I tried to do CPR and I knew right then and there I lost my baby. Oh, God. That's hard. And it's hard knowing that your kid can come home and not feel good enough. Always check on your kids. Ask them how their day was. If they say it was fine, just keep pushing them until you get an answer of it. They're being bullied and not telling anyone. It's worse. I miss my son so much, and it was the day of his graduation, so it's hard, but he's the reason why I keep pushing myself until this day. His mom side point of view from when she talked to at his funeral memorial. Wow, is that the last story?
No. Yeah, then she also told me from her perspective, till this day, I still live with tons of regret.
Let me just say, first of all, this kid was being bullied, and that is something that I can relate to because I was bullied when I was in middle school heavily, and even in high school at times. So I am no stranger to bullying. And then I was even bullied in the workplace. I felt very like I was very much being made fun of and poked fun at. It was all at my expense. So I've been in that situation numerous times, and it's very painful. Because us as humans, social creatures, we want to be accepted. We want to be, we want to feel like we belong. And when someone is telling us that we're not good enough, or they're implying that we're not good enough, and that we're scorn-worthy, and
I know
they're laughing at our expense, that makes us feel like, oh shit, exactly what I had feared has come true and come to life.
I think also sometimes when they say I'm okay, it's one of those signs that they might be committing the act of suicidal attempt. Or if they don't give you stuff on a daily basis and they give you a lot, that's another reason that they might take their own life.
You can't always trust their word. They say okay, but that doesn't mean you have to dig. And that's what her regret is, this mother, which, by the way, in this story, I feel the most bad for the mother.
Yeah.
Because the mother lost, when she said I lost my baby, that hit home.
Yeah.
I felt it when she said that. Because I was picturing my mom cooking chicken and fries, say it's my favorite meal for me, and then she had to come up and find me like that. That would be, oh God, that would devastate my mom in a way that I wouldn't even know how she would probably go off the rails and end up killing herself.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I killed myself.
Before you told me that you had this girlfriend, right? Should I say the name?
Go for it.
Autumn?
Yes.
Since you guys were in this relationship, did you think of having the attempts or no?
I did. I was so unhealthy mentally and emotionally when I was with her. And for the many years leading up to that relationship as well. And that was all because of the condition that I was suffering from, which now I'm going to get into what I was bringing up earlier about body dysmorphia. I suffer immensely from mental illness, specifically body dysmorphic disorder, which I don't think people understand how serious that can be. If you want to know how serious it can be, just take a look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had gotten surgery on his nose so many times because of body dysmorphic disorder. He was so unhappy with his nose, and towards the end of his life, you could see his nose did not look normal. It looked very, very fake and hideous looking. And I say that from a place of empathy, and I feel bad for him because he had he battled with his own appearance so much, just like I had battled with my appearance. Mine wasn't my nose, mine for 10 years, and there's still residual effects from it till this day. Mine was all about my teeth and my obsession with my teeth. You can ask my brother. I obsessed, and everybody noticed in my life. Everyone could tell I was just all in my teeth, and I was so unhappy, and I was always constantly trying to look at them in the mirror to see if they were balanced right, and they never were in my mind. And I was always trying to I got 3 sets of braces, 3 sets of orthodontic braces at separate times and from separate orthodontists to try to correct my teeth because I wasn't happy with them. And I had orthodontists telling me when I was basically doctor hunting, I was doctor hopping to find out who would do them for me, because a lot of them were saying, no, actually, one guy actually told me, hey, your teeth actually look fine. I don't want to mess with them because you don't need braces. And I said, no, you don't see this. I saw things that he wasn't seeing. And then other orthodontists were like, yeah, it's not that bad, but if you want to correct that, we can do this, and this is going to be the price. So I had decided that I was getting braces a second and then a third time. It was 10 years of misery for me. It was 10 years of suffering from, and I'll get back to your question in a second, suffering from this obsession. And that's where OCD comes into play, because body dysmorphia is really a severe form of OCD. It's sort of like an OCD variant. It's like a variant of OCD that is really crippling, and I was crippled. I couldn't socialize naturally. I couldn't smile naturally. I was so caught up on my teeth and my mouth. So what's your question?
So when you were going through this, did you have food insecurities, or was food a big problem for you? No. I know some people who do this act will have a problem with eating, and they'll have a food insecurity, how one of the child actors who was in the original iCarly, Dan McCurdy, had food insecurity because she was getting to a point where she might have taken her own life, because her mother was not the best person for her. And I believe I don't know if this is true or not, but her dad might have died, I think. So I think this was a food insecurity that could also kind of tie in.
And you found all this out from reading her book. I'm so glad my mother's not here anymore.
I'm glad my mother died.
Yeah. What you mentioned is the most common form of body dysmorphic disorder, which is body weight issues, and how much body fat you have, and that's the most relatable for people, is the body fat percentage type concerns and eating disorders. That type of body dysmorphic disorder is the most common. I didn't have that. I had a different form. Mine, like I said, was all about how aligned my teeth were, and the angles of my teeth, and how far this tooth in particular, this canine tooth, how far down it was. Where that really began was in high school, when the baby tooth fell out. The adult tooth wasn't coming in. It was just hiding up there in the gums. And I went to go see an orthodontist about it, and the orthodontist was like, here, what we could do is we could put braces on there. Mind you, I'm a sophomore at this point, sophomore in high school. We could put braces on there, and what we could do is we could pull the 2 teeth around it apart to give it space, because that canine is lacking space to come down. Once we pull the 2 teeth on either side of it apart, it'll allow it to come down naturally. But we'll assist it we're gonna put some stuff on there to help pull it down. At the time, I was like, well, okay, but more important to me was I had a little V gap in between my 2 front teeth, and they were kind of bucky. and I hated it. I wanted that gone. I was like, all right, well, while you're doing that, can you close this gap up? And he's like, yeah, we can do that. So I remember the day that I was scheduled to go get orthodontic braces put on for the first time.
Yeah.
I was in school, and then I was thinking all day, I'm like, you know what? I actually, never mind. I don't want these braces. I don't want them. I changed my mind. But I hear my name over the PA. Derek Huffman to the office to leave for an appointment, And I'm like, oh shit. So I go down to the office, the main office at the front of the high school, and my dad's there, and he's like, all right, we got to go to your appointment. I'm like, actually, I changed my mind. I decided I don't. He goes, we have this appointment. We've scheduled it. It's too late to say no now. You're getting them. So I'm like, I was forced at this point. I'm like forced into doing something I don't want to do. And little did I know that was really the beginning of my nightmare. That was the beginning of my absolute agony for the next 10 years. My whole life for the next 10 years was going to be my teeth.
Yeah.
I was going to be fixated on my teeth, and I wasn't going to think about a whole lot else for more than a few minutes without going right back to my teeth. Because when I got the braces on, I hated them. I was like, oh my God, they're ugly. I'm self-conscious of the way I'm speaking and the way it's affecting my speech. And they were the white ones too. They were they were like the tooth-colored ones. They weren't even the metal ones.
Oh.
So they were less noticeable than typical braces.
Bands, right? The band ones?
No, they're just like tooth-colored ceramic brackets, as opposed to the standard metal ones that you're used to. You've had braces, right?
I not have braces.
You've never had braces?
No.
Well, the metal ones are the common ones that you're used to seeing. I had the tooth-colored ceramic ones because I was fortunate enough to have my dad pay extra for those.
Yeah.
So, but I still hated them. I was so spoiled. I was like, I don't like these. I want them out. I remember I cut the wire. I went into my garage and I found a pair of wire cutters. And I got the idea from a friend. He was like, yeah, I've cut mine before. I go, really? He goes, yeah. So I chopped them off, and immediately I was happier. I was like, oh, this looks good. They're less noticeable now. It was that metal wire that made them look noticeable. Now it's just the brackets, you can hardly tell. So I go to school like that, feeling all confident in myself. I'm like, yeah. But then the next orthodontic appointment I had, he goes, you cut the wire off? I go, yeah, I cut it off. And he's like, oh, this is going to set us back. Now you're going to have to wear them longer. You cut off the wire. The wire is the thing doing the work. So he put the wire back on there. So I toughened it out and I got the braces off. Here's the catch. I didn't wear the retainer. The retainer is what holds everything in place that you just got corrected. I didn't wear the retainer, so the tooth started going back up into my gums again. The tooth they had just lowered, it starts traveling back up again. This starts getting a gap again. Like everything that they had just corrected started just going right back to how it was. It reverted. But at this point, now I'm starting to go, but wait, this tooth, it's going back up. I don't want it to go up. I want it to stay down. And then I would start doing this in the mirror to see like how high it's gotten. And it's like, oh, this one's too high now, juxtaposed to the other one. This is driving me crazy. I hate this. And eventually what I did was I went to another orthodontist and I said, I need another pair of braces. But before that, I went to the first orthodontist again. I said, hey, this is coming. Can you fix this? And he goes, okay, well, we can put on what's called a Howley retainer. It's a temporary retainer that you pop in and you can pop out at any time. It's cheaper, and it sounds like something that you might be interested in. What do you think? I tried that out. Hated that thing. That thing sucked. It didn't do what I wanted. I didn't wear it long enough. I hated that thing. So I got braces again. Braces were the best option for me because even though as much as I was self-conscious with them the first time around, how much this canine not being low enough and everything was bothering me way more than the braces ever did. So you know what? Let's get braces again and let's get this thing down. So I go see another orthodontist. he agrees to do it, and he also agrees to do the correction on the front here, and he's gonna actually, he mentioned a few other things I didn't even know were an issue. So he wanted to get the whole situation aligned better, and I had a little bit of a what's called a overbite, or like a deep overbite, where the teeth, my top teeth were too far down, covering up my lower teeth too much. So he wanted to bring the top teeth up like this, so some of my lower teeth were showing, and it's just a healthier looking smile too, and a healthier bite overall, along with bringing this canine down. And I'm doing with I'm showing with my fingers because it's the most demonstrative way. Bring the canine down again, and everything will be great. And sure enough, it came out really nice. When the day I got the braces removed, the second pair of braces, I noticed, I go, don't you think this canine should go down a little bit further before you remove them?
Yeah.
I said this before you took them off, and he goes, it actually looks pretty good to me. So now the orthodontist is telling me it looks good to him, and I'm thinking, I want the canine down just a little bit lower, I think. But no, he took him off. So after that comes off, I looked at him, I was like, I like this, it looks pretty good, okay. So I wore the retainer, and I wore it every single night when I slept. And I was very particular this time about wearing them for 8 hours every night, because they say a minimum of 8 hours a night to wear this retainer. So I wore them 8 hours every night, but you know what? Despite that, I still felt like they were shifting, and the retainer use wasn't doing it. And I felt like the canine started, after a couple years go by, I felt like the canine started going up a little bit again, and some things falling out of place again. It was like it all repeated again. So I'm like, oh man, maybe I didn't wear the retainer enough, and maybe I need to get 3rd time's a charm, and I need to get braces a 3rd time. So I go in, and I find another orthodontist, and I go in for a 3rd pair of braces. This is when that one orthodontist told me, no, you don't need it, braces, don't do it. I found some doctor who agreed to do it for an affordable price. So I go up into that orthodontist. He puts another pair of braces on. And by the way, every time I've gotten braces, it was always the white ceramic braces. It was never the metal brackets. So he puts those puppies on, and this time I'm super OCD in the appointments. They could tell, I couldn't hide it for long. They could tell there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like this kid's a little loopy. This guy's a little loopy. Because every time I would go in for my appointment, I would go, hey, I noticed that this feels like this and this feels out of place. Can you adjust the wire so it doesn't feel like this anymore? And can you bring this down lower? Can you do this? Bring this up higher? He goes, yeah, I can do a little bit there, but things are gonna feel out of place for a while. It's just once the braces come off, things are gonna fall into place better. It's just when they're on, they don't feel. I'm like, I wasn't having. I was like, yeah, I know you can do something, right? So I was always bothering this poor doctor with fix this, fix this, fix this. And one day I had to just. It was becoming so evident that it needed to be addressed. I said, hey, can you shut the door? I go, I need to talk to you about something personal. I go, as you can tell, I'm very particular with everything. He goes, a little? I said this word, I said little. I said, you could tell I'm a little bit particular. He goes, a little? And I go, yeah, it's bad. I go, actually, I gotta spill the beans. For the past 5 years, I've been in and out of therapists, and I've been diagnosed from several doctors, several psychiatrists, that I have obsessive compulsive disorder and body dysmorphic disorder.
Oh, wow.
And just anxiety. But they're both anxiety disorders. So I wanted to bring it to your attention so you're not wondering why I'm like this, and that it's just out there, and that you can understand and be patient with me. And I can be a bit unrealistic with how perfect I want everything to be, and I apologize for that. And he goes, no, don't apologize. I understand. I appreciate you being honest about that. I go, yeah, it wasn't easy. So eventually I got the braces off for the 3rd time. I got the 3rd set of braces removed, and he goes, all right, it's in place. So they gave me my retainer. I go, I get all OCD with my retainers. I got like 5 of them made. They're expensive too. I got like 5 made. And here's the kicker. This is when I'm working at Goodwill. I'm gonna just tell them. This is when I'm working at Goodwill at this point, and you have already met me at this point. Yeah. You didn't know this, but the first year I was working at Goodwill, you were witnessing the end of this battle with my teeth. You were witnessing the final stages, and what really saved my obsession and saved me from my obsession was a couple of things.
Did you know I never actually noticed it?
Really?
Yeah, they look normal.
Thank you. That makes me feel good. 2 factors played a role in fixing this condition. It was, number 1, and the most important one for me, I think, is a technique that I had picked up from a doctor named Dr. Mike Mew. He has a practice that he calls orthotropics, but the technique is called mewing. Mewing. It's where it's all about tongue posture and body posture and shaping your jawline and keeping your teeth in perfect alignment and keeping your palate expanded. This practice of keeping your tongue in correct posture, which I was not doing before, has really changed the game for me. Now I feel like I've tackled my obsession, and I'm not so like, oh, things are falling out of place, things are going back to how they used to. Let me put something out in the air right now. I don't even wear retainers anymore.
Oh yeah.
I stopped wearing my retainer because of mewing. That's how much mewing has saved my life. Thank you, Dr. Mike Mew. You've saved me. And guess what else had saved me?
Using the last name of the doctor.
His last name is Mew. That's why he calls it mewing. Thank you. And the other thing is antidepressants, anxiety medication, which I'm on Zoloft. I take the highest allowable dosage on a daily basis. I'm on 200 milligrams of Zoloft a day, and I'm on 20 milligrams twice a day of buspirone. So the combination of mewing and medication, I think, has saved my mental health, and I am so grateful, because when you asked me when I was with Autumn for those 4 years, my ex-girlfriend, how I was, I shit you not, I tried to drown myself in the bathtub once.
So you tried to kill yourself?
I wasn't too serious about it. I was more entertaining the idea. So I would go under the water, and I would just okay, maybe I can do it. Maybe if I just hold my breath, and I just hide it. If something felt comfortable about hiding underneath the water, being submerged in the bath water, the warm bath water, and just like entertaining the idea of not existing anymore. I think that was comforting. But then when I came up with it, and my ex-girlfriend was witnessing this. She was witnessing me basically trying to entertain suicide, and I put her through something that wasn't fair of her.
Yeah.
And I was very unhealthy, and this was a couple years leading up to Goodwill when I met you. So to answer your question, no, I was not healthy when I was with Autumn. It was a very dark period for me, and I'm healthier mentally today than I have been in over 10 years.
Oh wow.
Probably ever. I'm probably healthier now than I've been ever in my entire life, except for when I was a kid, because when you're a little kid, you're just healthy. You don't have issues yet. When you're like 5 years old, 8 years old, it wasn't until I was closing in on my teen years where I started noticing, these obsessive compulsions are really affecting my life negatively. In school, always feeling like I wish I didn't wear these clothes. I wish I didn't. And let me tell you this, when I say I'm healthy, I'm not completely healthy and out of the water. I suffer from a new obsession now. my new obsession is my hair. I shit you not, I spend upwards of an hour a day, and maybe sometimes even 2 hours, on getting my hair to look the way I want it to look. As you can tell, I twist it. I like twisting it so I know it gives me a better idea of where all my hair is. I don't like not knowing where my hair is going. So if I twist it, it gives me that's where all my hair is. It keeps my hair organized for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll spend upwards of an hour or two a day twisting my hair, which is not good for your hair. It pulls on your hair follicle. And that's why I have a receding hairline. It's probably partly contributed from always messing with my hair for years now. So now I no longer have the teeth thing, but the OCD has manifested itself, and body dysmorphia has manifested itself over to a hair thing now. Now I spend all this time in my hair. So wish me luck. My next challenge is my hair, and I got to get better at that.
Do we want? I have 2 more stories if you want.
Go for it.
So one of them is called.
Before we go on to
Yeah.
the story, what is your any final comments on? I kind of spewed out. There was like a verbal vomit of my story. Do you want to address anything that you noticed, or anything you want to remark about my life experience?
I would maybe say like you're gotten better, but we're not always fixed, no matter what we do.
The OCD is always going to be there.
No,
for me.
just like in general. Like if we try to commit it and we try to get back off, there's still that urge. But it's like still trying to haunt you. But
Yes.
you're trying to reel it back in, like trying to fight it.
It's always there to haunt. It's always going to try to haunt you. That was really well worded. Yes. All right.
So I think that's I think Rachel Platten's was one of the songs she wrote was fight song.
Oh, okay, that's funny. I'm gonna send it to you after this podcast, after we record this. But I'm gonna send you my newest song that I just finished, called "Haunted."
Ooh.
I'll send it to you. Yeah. It's about a topic we should discuss on a different podcast.
Yeah.
On a different episode. Haunted.
So do you wanna? I'll read this girl Amelia's story.
Yeah.
If you want to read A Birthday to Celebrate and Remember by Janet Benz. It's a rather longer one, but I thought it was very impactful.
Okay.
So I'll read this one. So like how you were saying about in the in school, getting called down, so did this person.
Okay.
So she says, I'm Amelia, and this is my story. I was a 14-year-old when my friend attempted suicide. He was depressed and didn't know what to do and how he looked to suicide for a temporary fix to his problem. It reminds you of you, who you try to fix your problems.
He didn't know what to do, and he looked to suicide for a temporary fix to his problem. Do you know what his problem was?
I believe it says later on. In the story.
Okay.
He texted me that he was going to do it on his birthday, and he told me that he texted me because I was the only one who understood him. That I was the only one that understood his pain. I called him. He ignored my calls about 20 times, and then texted me a note. It was a message to his parents, friends, and stating that I failed. And he was doing it that night instead. He was a very close friend, so I didn't know his address. And I only met his parents a couple of times. I was home alone and having a panic attack, and I didn't know what to do. I called a girl named Addie, and she gave me his information out of her school dictionary.
Directory.
As soon as she gave it to me, I called the police and gave them the address. My friend's phone was off by now, and I was in panic mode. I didn't sleep that night. when I had to go to school that Monday morning, I was called into the office. He was alive. It was a weight off my shoulders. The school counselor had to ask me a lot of questions and made me very uncomfortable. But I stayed strong and was able to explain what happened. I didn't talk to him for the next year. I recently started texting him. He's closer with family. He's happier and hasn't thought of suicide since that night. Thank you for setting up this website to give others a hope and awareness. The website is called save.org.
Save.org.
And
if you're struggling from suicidal tendencies and urges, save.org.
And this was Amelia. By now, she was age 15.
And the part where he says he texted stating, "I failed."
Yeah.
Does he mean? Does that talking about a failed suicide attempt?
It does not really say.
Because that could go a number of ways. I failed a test in math class. I failed.
I felt, and that he was doing it that night instead.
I failed. What did he fail?
So I
know?
don't know. I know sometimes when you're reading these stories, they don't tell you most of it.
I failed at life.
For certain reasons.
I failed my parents. I failed my friends. It could be a number of things.
I think their friends and family knew what he said that, but the audience reading it won't know.
Yeah. So he's still alive till this day?
Yes, and this was, I believe, a survivor story.
That's good. So anytime someone lives is always a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
But the question is, are they going to try it again? Are they healthy enough to avoid it in the future, or are they going to give it another shot in the future? And that's where I think antidepressants are extremely helpful. I think talking to somebody is going to be helpful. And the stuff that everybody always talks about. They always tell you, go talk to somebody, go talk to a friend, a family member. And I think that's good advice.
I would say also a trusted adult too.
Trusted adult, a psychiatrist, a therapist.
Because in the world that we need to learn is communication. And I think communication, this type of scenarios, is one of the most important communication or talks to have with a family, an adult, or even someone that you love that you might not think they're doing it.
I work
but it
with
might
a person.
be so fatal, and that they're trying to cover it because if they say it, they don't know how to react.
I work with a person who just the other night confided in me, in telling me that they wanted to, they've considered it every night of the last week.
Do I know who it is?
Yeah. And they've been seriously considering doing it every night of the last week.
So if you do say it, if you won't mind saying it, I'll bleep the name.
Really?
Yeah, I'll make sure they don't know who it is.
I'll tell you after the podcast. That way it gives you less to edit. But so yeah, what do you do as the one hearing that? Do you go tell somebody, or do you just try to give the person sound advice?
As some teachers say, it's flight or fright. Fight or flight.
Fight or flight.
Yeah. Do you fight it and get an answer, or do you push back and ask the questions?
I don't think fight or flight. I think fight or flight doesn't really apply. I think it's more, do you go tell somebody?
Yeah.
Do you try to get the person professional help in some way? Or do you just go, there's nothing I can do, it's out of my hands. That's on him. That's on them. That's on her.
Did you want to read the next story? This is from January 2020. It's January 2007.
You got another story?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I guess I'll read this one then.
There's a lot of articles out there that give resources or will show people's stories.
We got 15 minutes left of this podcast. If you made it this far, we thank you very much. This is a very serious episode. It's all about mental health. We're here at CCRI, a college that we both attend. And I'm here taking communications. You're here taking art.
Yep.
and we are loving it. This is a great school. So here's the next story about a suicide or a suicide attempt. A Birthday to Celebrate and Remember by Janet Benz. Is it Janet or Jeanette?
I would say Janet.
Janet.
Jeanette
Okay.
is Jannette.
Yeah. It seemed like our family was just beginning to recover from some of the traumatic events around the catastrophic death of our son in January 2007. Wow, we're going back a little bit for that. Each of us was settling into the grief journey and what that meant for us individually and collectively. Whoever wrote this is a very good writer, I can tell so far. Better than, no offense to the previous stories, but this one's the most well written so far. Us individually and collectively. Good use of commas and punctuation. When Christopher's 18th birthday arrived. Christopher, a new character in the story that we're hearing of for the first time.
That's the son.
Okay. I see. The son that had died in 2007?
Yep.
Okay. We still don't know how this Christopher has died, so let's find out. 18th birthday arrived. As a parent, I struggled with what to do and how to handle what I expected to be a very emotional and difficult day for our family. Isn't that interesting how, like, on the anniversary day of the subject matter, it's when it comes back and hits the family or hits the close loved ones or whatever. I've never experienced that. I guess a little bit in terms of like breakups, you know, when I've suffered heartbreaks and then the following year at the same time as the breakup, or maybe the same time as, you know, her and I had done something memorable or special. Just the time of year I felt a little bit like, oh yeah, that heartbreak, that's starting to come back all of a sudden. And a few days of feeling that kind of goes by and you go, oh, okay. If it's a similar psychology and a similar emotional response as what I just described, then I guess I can relate to it. I couldn't begin to know how my two other sons would deal with their youngest brother's birthday and the reminder that he was no longer with us. I only knew that he was and always will be my son, and I still am and will always be his mother, and nothing will ever change that. I felt that just as birthdays had always been in our home, Christopher's birthday needed to continue to be a very special day. There was in me a driving need to recognize the day in celebration of Christopher's life, to honor him for who he was and what he brought to our lives. And those around him, and continue to keep him present in our lives in a meaningful way. So we planned and had a birthday dinner for him, which ended up being a positive and meaningful experience for our entire family. And we have decided to do this every year. It was a nurturing and healing day for me as I prepared Christopher's favorite foods, and the entire family planned their busy schedules of the day in time to be home for dinner. The dinner table included a cake with a bold inscription, "Happy Birthday, Christopher." However, there were no candles on the cake. At the end of the meal, each person was given a birthday candle and asked to talk about whatever they thought Christopher would have done in his life. And this year we told our favorite Christopher stories. Each person lit a candle as they shared their memories of his life and then placed a candle on the cake. Our family shared a prayer, made a wish, paused, and then blew out the candles. I knew we will continue to celebrate this special day in our family as Christopher's birthday arrives each year. For our family, it feels good. For our family, it is good. It is good and right for us to do. I always found this to be a perfect time to bring out photos of family and friends, baseball trophies, high school yearbooks, and other items that help strengthen the memories but may only sometimes be on display every day in our home. Reminiscing and sharing memories is a wonderful way to keep our loved ones alive in an authentic way as we continue to give meaning. I'm sorry?
Want to copy the paper?
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Every day in our home. Reminiscing and sharing memories is a wonderful way to keep our loved ones alive in an authentic way as we continue to give meaning to their lives. And as we connect with each other in mutual support on this path, we all walk as survivors. Editor's note, we grieve differently. There is no right or wrong way to handle celebrations, anniversaries, or special occasions. This is one family's way to celebrate a birthday in hopes that it will help others find ways to live, grieve, and go on. Now, question for you, Liam.
Yeah.
This was a very well-written story. This person knows how to write well.
I think it was because they had a lot to talk about, and they were just like trying to get the story for people to read and try to help.
My question for you is, do you know these people personally?
No, I was looking at some stories online, and
So these are strangers to you?
except the first two that I said for my friend.
Oh, the first two were from your friend.
The last 3 or 4 were stories I was able to find online that
Okay.
speak about the
Okay.
message.
All right. Because this story doesn't mention... Oh, it does mention... Well, recover from the catastrophic death of our son in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say how old he was
Not 18.
when he died. It just says, it goes on to say,
It did.
Christopher's 18th birthday arrived, we had a celebration. But when was this post made?
I believe this story
Yeah.
was when Christopher was 18, 2007, because they were talking about a birthday
No, he died on 2007.
in.
He died in 2007.
Yes, that was his birth. It was his birthday.
That wasn't just because he died in 2007.
No, I think he took his life when he was 18.
No, because each of us was settling into the grief journey and what it meant for us individually and
Maybe
collectively.
A few days
When
after his 18th.
when Christopher's 18th birthday arrived. So they're talking about after he's already passed on.
Yes.
They're talking about how on his 18th birthday, we had to cope and be through this celebration. And they're not saying that he died when he was 18. They're saying when he would be 18 if he were still alive today.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't explain how old he was when he took his life, or it doesn't even say that he did take his life. It just says he died in 2007.
Because sometimes they don't
They don't want to get into it.
get into it, so they'll just give the synopsis.
Is that our last story?
I believe so. Yes.
All right, so let me hand this back
I
to
think
you.
in this era right now, for since we're talking about mental health and suicidal, then honestly, what I want to really get out of this is communication is important in this type of terms.
We're at 53 minutes in. Do we want to stop exactly at an hour? Or do we want to go over a little bit?
Do you want to talk about the other subject, or do we just want to have this as just forward mental health awareness?
I guess for the last 6 minutes, we'll talk about something ended on a little bit more
And we're-
light, like a little more light, positive
Oh,
note.
and before we end that, if you want like a good example of how to see how this is, maybe check out Ben Platt's movie Dear Evan Hansen.
Okay.
Because
Never heard
since
of it.
I was hearing it, listening and watching it, that was that's what made me want to jump on this call or podcast and talk about it. Because after listening to it, I thought it was very important. Because I know one of my girlfriends had bipolar, so they might have wanted to attempt it.
Do you suffer from any sort of mental illness?
Not right now, and I don't have to think about any of them suicidal attempts.
Good. So
I
I'm
hope
definitely
you
no
don't either.
I'm definitely no stranger to mental illness. I live with it on a daily basis. I'm doing my best to cope with it. It's significantly better now than it was during those 10 years where I battled with my
yeah.
obsession that I had mentioned earlier. And how you doing?
Hey.
So I have made a lot of progress there. Now it's all to do with my hair. And with every day I'm trying to test myself on ways to be better and not spend as much time on my hair, because it's detrimental to my hair follicles, first of all, to keep pulling and twisting my hair excessively, especially, but also because it's taking time away from my life. I'm not getting as many things done as I usually would because I'm spending all this time on my hair. So that's my next thing I have to tackle. And one of those ways is I used to see an OCD specialist, and he explained to me there was this technique of setting a timer. If you feel the need to act on a compulsion, you set a timer for yourself and you go, okay, I'll act on that compulsion, but I have to wait this many minutes first. You start off with 5 minutes. Once the timer goes off, then go and play with my hair. Next time I feel the urge, maybe go up. After I've gotten the 5 minutes conquered, then I go up to 10 minutes. I wait 10 minutes before I act on the compulsion. Then 20, then 30, and eventually the idea is to let the anxiety completely pass, and by the time the 30 minutes is up, you won't even want to do the compulsion because it's like, oh, I forgot about it. That's the goal. It's easier said than done, but setting a timer on your phone is a really easy way to begin to tackle your obsession. If you're anybody out there with an obsessive compulsive disorder, like I have, which now at this point in my life it is my hair, and it's obsessing about getting my hair looking the way I want it to look shape-wise, and trying to get reduced frizz and things of that nature. I use a lot of hair curling products, and I have curly hair, and it's naturally pretty dry, so I have to add a lot of moisturization to it. Anyhow, for the last 3 minutes, let's close on something a little bit more positive. Let's talk about fashion for the last 2.5 minutes. Fashion is something that I've always, even my OCD, if we want to carry in the mental illness into fashion.
Honestly,
When I was in high school, when I was in school, I was super obsessed with what I was wearing, and I would go, oh, does this match this? Did I wear the right thing today? Oh, did I not? I wish I didn't wear this. This doesn't go right. Blue on blue is not working. 2 different types of blue. It was driving me crazy. And then the way things felt, I would be like, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable enough. I wish I didn't wear this. These are the type of things I would suffer from in school. But this gives you an idea. It paints a picture of how much attention I pay to what I wear. And right now it looks simple. It doesn't look like, oh, he's not all that fashionable. Well, no, fashion doesn't always have to be super fancy. You could wear something super simple like this 3/4 tee that I got from Walmart. Fashion can be, another affordable, cheap thing that you found at Goodwill or Salvation Army
or
Savers. You don't always have to go to these high-end places to get clothes that you like. Stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to spend top dollar to get people impressed. It's about what you want to wear, and it's about what you feel good in. And I feel good in this shirt right here.
Because that's also how you can kind of get rid of anxiety from.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Since we kind of didn't really we're not going to have much time to cover too much fashion on here. We'll end this one with fashion. We'll start the next one off with fashion. Anything you want to say about the way you dress?
Honestly, no.
No. I see you right now wearing the 90s shirt.
Oh, yeah.
You're a big fan of 90s, all that.
I actually met Lori Beth Denberg from the 90s at 90s Con in Connecticut last year.
Keenan and Kel, Good Burger.
Ashley, who actually decided to take her own life. Ashley Bynes.
Oh, okay. Miranda Bynes, Ashley Bynes.
Yeah, I will, for the viewers who don't know who she is, I will add a picture.
Is it Amanda Bynes or Ashley Bynes?
Amanda Bynes, my bad, yes.
Okay. So yeah, I shop, the places I like to shop are Walmart, I'll go to H&M because H&M has pretty good prices, and their stuff is all basic. At least most of it is. So they put some graphic designs on their tees, but for the most part it's basic, and I dress basic. I'm a strong supporter of donating fabrics. If you have old clothes that you don't want to wear anymore, don't just throw it in the trash. Donate it to Goodwill. Donate it to H&M has a fabric donation bin that you can donate to. I remember her. She's committed suicide. Really?
She attempted because
she attempted, but she didn't successfly commit suicide.
Because at the age of 32, I believe, she was having some traumatic experiences. Because when she was on the show All That in the 90s, there was a director named Dan Schneider, who were in charge of some of the big Nickelodeon shows. Apparently, he was doing foot fetish behind the scenes.
With her?
And I believe Victoria, Justice, and I believe Zoe 101 cast members. She was one of them who got kind of in those areas.
Did you meet this girl?
No, she was supposed to show up, then something came up.
But she's still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive.
Okay, cool.
But she doesn't really act as much as she used to do because of like food security and
Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
Saved by the Bell is another 90s show. Well, condolences to Amanda Bynes. Is it Ashley or Amanda? Did we ever find out?
Amanda.
Oh, because the show is Ask Ashley, so that's what threw you off. Yeah, Jinx, no Jinx back. Punch Buggy, punch in the back of the head. So we're gonna call it there. That's been an hour, and we appreciate you listening. If you made it through the whole podcast, also a few plugs I want to throw out there. I host a broadcast here at on CCRI Radio on the website on ccri.com, and I do it every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I do it for the hour. I am the DJ, and I'm the host for that entire hour, and I carefully selected music that I think is very fitting, and it's really great music that I really enjoy, and I think I have a great taste in music, despite what anybody might say.
Yeah, before we wrap up,
Liam has something else he wants to say.
In the month of December, and it's a few months out, but I'm going to be giving out the email that I'm going to create for the Jokers podcast, or you can DM us, Joker Podcast, and you can send in stories, or have us talk about stories that you want, and we'll do it for the month of the holidays.
You're going to send an email?
They can come and email us or DM us, and we'll...
Oh, for suggestions.
For suggestions or stories that they want to tell, or have us tell. Or anything, and they can... For the month of December, they can...
What's the email called?
It's going to be thejokerspod@gmail.com.
Thejokerspod@gmail.com, and only for the month of December?
Yep. It's during the holiday month of December. They can send in, or they can write us anything they want. If it's stories or ideas or anything.
Can they send it in now if they want to? December?
If they do, we won't look at it until the 29th of November.
Okay. And also my YouTube channel that I'm still adding to on basically a monthly basis. The Huffman Project.
The Derek Huffman. I thought it was the Derek Project.
I changed it again. It's now the Huffman Project. I didn't like the Derek Huffman Project. It was too long. The Derek Project didn't sound right to me. The Huffman Project. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we really appreciate you checking us out. Take care.